Let me tell you about the greatest retirement scam in American history. And before you close the tab, I'm not talking about Social Security, I'm not talking about crypto IRAs, and I'm definitely not talking about some guy on TikTok selling you a self-directed gold fund. I'm talking about something you probably have at work right now, something your HR department called a benefit, something your employer described as an incredible tool to build your future. I'm talking about the 401k. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you that the 401k wasn't designed to retire you, it was designed to retire the pension, and those are two very different things. Let's start at the beginning, because this story has one of the most absurd origin stories in financial history. The year is 1978. Congress passes the Revenue Act of 1978. Buried inside it is a tiny, almost ignored provision called Section 401k. Nobody cared. It wasn't some grand vision for a new retirement system. It was a technical clarification about deferred compensation for executives. That's it. It was a footnote, a rounding error, the kind of thing that shows up on page 847 of a tax bill that nobody reads. Then, in 1980, a benefits consultant named Ted Benna looked at that footnote and had a thought. What if we used this thing to let regular employees defer salary into a tax-advantaged investment account? Benna pitched it, his employer adopted it, and almost overnight, corporate America realized something beautiful. This little accident could replace something very expensive, the pension. Because pensions, you see, are a guaranteed obligation. The company promises you a specific monthly payment for the rest of your life in retirement. Doesn't matter if markets crash, doesn't matter if the company has a bad decade, you get paid. And that's a real liability sitting on a balance sheet. CFOs hate it, shareholders hate it, and between the 1980s and today, corporate America has spent 40 years systematically replacing pensions with 401ks, calling it employee empowerment, and then going back to counting their money. Because here's the difference between a pension and a 401k, and I want you to sit with this for a second. With a pension, the investment risk sits with the employer. With a 401k, the investment risk sits entirely with you. That's the trade that happened. Corporations handed you a tax break with one hand and quietly took back the retirement guarantee with the other. And the entire country said, "Thank you." Now let's talk about what actually happens to your 401k money, because this is where it gets interesting, or infuriating depending on your mood. The average 401k plan charges annual fees somewhere between 0.5% and 2% of your total assets per year. That doesn't sound like a lot, it sounds like the financial equivalent of a rounding error. But watch what that does over time. Let's say you invest $10,000 today and leave it alone for 30 years. The market averages 7% annually. With zero fees, you end up with roughly $76,000. But now, let's say your plan charges a 1% annual fee. Sounds fine, right? 1%. Now you end up with around $57,000. You just lost $19,000 to fees on a $10,000 investment. Over 30 years, a 1% fee doesn't cost you 1% of your money, it costs you 25% of your final balance. And if your plan charges 2%, you're walking away with $43,000 instead of $76,000. That's a $33,000 hole on a single $10,000 investment from fees alone. Fees the plan administrator is collecting whether markets go up, down, or completely sideways. This isn't an edge case. According to a study from the Center for American Progress, the average worker will pay over $138,000 in 401k fees over the course of their career. $138,000. Gone. not to market crashes, not to bad investments, just to the financial infrastructure that was supposedly designed to help you retire. And that's before we even talk about the investment options inside your 401k. Because most employer plans don't give you the full investment menu, they give you a curated selection, usually somewhere between 10 and 30 funds. And here's the uncomfortable question: who chose those funds? Not you. Your employer did. And in many cases, the funds that end up in your plan aren't there because they're the best options available. They're there because the fund companies pay to be included. It's called revenue sharing, and it means the investment lineup in your retirement account is partly a product of backroom financial arrangements you will never see, never hear about, and never consent to. Meet Karen. Karen is 35, makes $75,000 a year, and contributes 6% to her 401k to get the employer match. She feels good about it. She's being responsible. She's investing in her future. She logs into the app once a year, sees a number that's going up, and moves on with her life. What Karen doesn't know is that her plan's expense ratios are averaging 1.4% annually. Her target date fund quietly underperforms its benchmark by another 0.5% per year. And over the next 30 years, that invisible drag is going to quietly erase somewhere between $180,000 and $240,000 from her retirement balance. Karen isn't doing anything wrong. She's doing exactly what she was told, and that's exactly the problem. Now here's the psychological trap that makes all of this so hard to escape. Because the 401k system isn't just expensive, it's specifically designed to not think about it. The contributions come out of your paycheck before you see them. The money goes into accounts with unfamiliar fund names like Large Cap Growth Fund 2 or Stable Value Option. The fee disclosures exist but are buried in documents that read like they were written by someone who actively hates being understood. And the whole thing is wrapped in language like growing your nest egg and securing your future, because nothing lowers your guard faster than avian metaphors about money. And then there's the matching contribution trap, because the employer match is real. It's free money. Nobody's disputing that. But the match is also the single most effective tool for locking employees into whatever plan design the employer wants. Because once you're getting a match, leaving money on the table feels psychologically impossible. So you stay in, you contribute, you let the whole machine run, and you never look too hard at the fine print, because what you don't know won't hurt you. Until it does. Let's talk about the vesting cliff, because this one is particularly sneaky. Most people know that employer matching contributions aren't immediately yours. They vest over time, usually 2 to 6 years. So if your employer matches 4% and you leave for 1 year, you might walk out the door with 0 of that match. None of it. Gone. And this isn't a bug, it's a feature. Because vesting schedules are retention tools disguised as retirement benefits. They keep you in a job not because the job is great, but because leaving feels too expensive. So now we have a retirement system where the risk is on you, the fees quietly drain your balance for decades, the investment options are partly pay to play, the complexity is deliberately overwhelming, and the structure is specifically designed to make changing your behavior feel costly. And people call this an employee benefit. Here's the real gut punch, because the shift from pensions to 401ks didn't just change retirement, it changed the entire risk profile of the American middle class. In 1980, about 60% of private sector workers had a pension. Today, that number is below 15%. The 401k replaced the pension not because it was better for workers, but because it was better for corporations. And the 40-year experiment has produced a result that should be uncomfortable for everyone. The median retirement savings for Americans aged 55 to 64, the people closest to retirement, is around $185,000. At a 4% withdrawal rate, that's roughly $7,400 per year. That's not retirement. That's a bridge loan to poverty. So, what do you actually do about it? Because this video isn't meant to be 10 minutes of financial doom with no exit ramp. First, always take the employer match. Every single dollar of it. It's still free money even inside a flawed system. Second, check your fund expense ratios. If you're in a fund charging over 0.5% annually, look for a lower cost index fund alternative inside your plan. Most plans have at least one. Third, if your plan options are genuinely bad, max your 401k up to the match, then redirect additional retirement savings into a Roth IRA where you control the investment menu entirely. Fourth, look at your plan's fee disclosure document called a 408B2 notice. It's ugly reading, but it tells you exactly what percentage of your savings is leaving every year.